Retiring early. Maybe a dream for some, but not so much for others. And retiring early may mean different things to different people. In conceptual stuff, I want to talk about it today and kind of maybe the ideas behind that. And think of this, for some folks, in their mind, they're never going to retire. Whether that's financially, whether that's they just love their job so much, or they just can't imagine their life without having that time or that fulfillment of having that working. Over your lifetime, usually your career or your employment kind of becomes part of you, right? I mean, in many cases, you spend a lot of time at the office or at your job or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're an entrepreneur, you're probably spending most of your life building this business. So having that, stepping away from that can be a big thing. So from a retiring early standpoint, this general, full retirement age for a lot of folks with, Social Security is somewhere between 65 and 67 right now for most folks. So retiring early would be retiring prior to that timeline. I think anymore, at least when I hear people talk when they come in the office, to them retiring early is even pre-62. For most folks, drawing early Social Security benefits, you can start at 62. So retiring early would even be before that. Maybe it's sometime in your 50s or even sooner, right? So I've talked to some young people recently and they're like, I hope to retire at 50, or I can't imagine working past 55. So for you out there, if you're in this boat and you haven't retired yet and you're thinking of this, what does that look like? What would that look like? And would that be attractive to you to retire early? So then we say, if the answer is yes, I'd like to, then let's set forth a plan to do that. There's many things that have to come into place when you're thinking of retiring early. So where is income going to come from, right? There's expenses that happen out there in the world. You got to eat, you got to probably have some electricity on at the house, you got to have a place to live, all these sort of things. So what is that household budget and where is the income going to come from to do that? You probably want to factor in some fun money, some extras, because now that you're hopefully retiring young and healthy, you're going to want to go do things and travel and, whatever is meaningful to you to do that. So factor that in as well. How are you going to create that income? Is it through retirement savings? Is it through access to maybe a pension? Is there other investments that you have, like rental properties or something like that is going to spit off some form of income for you? So looking to see, making sure that income is greater than the expenses coming in, right? Healthcare is another thing out there. What does that look like early? Once we get to 65 and older, most of us have qualified for Medicare and can get on that and those were benefits. But pre-65, what does that look like? Are you going on the marketplace to get insurance? Are you able to get it through maybe retirement benefits from your current employer? Something along those lines. So making sure you have a strong plan from a healthcare perspective as well, because that's a big expense, or can be a big expense, and can be something maybe you're not used to paying if you've had the benefits of having it through your employer before, and now all of a sudden you're tasked with having that yourself. Taxes. What form of income is coming in? And do I have accessibility to that money? Am I going to get a tax penalty? As an example, if I'm retiring before 59 and a half and I have money in IRAs, I'm going to pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty likely on that money if I start taking it out prior to 59 and a half. So there's some different rules with 401ks, 403bs, depending upon how you leave and all that sort of stuff that may give you access a little bit sooner. But again, looking at from a tax penalty and accessibility to that money is going to play a role in maybe that plan and all of that, right? So in a nutshell here, retiring early may be a dream for some and it may not be for others, but if it is a dream for you, the most important thing you can do is set out a plan of how to accomplish that and what are these check marks you have to do to get to that point to achieving that reality of retiring early. Oftentimes when we sit down with folks that have done a nice job saving and they have this dream, it's not as far off as some thinks. So having that, sitting down and walking through that, and maybe there's a few adjustments you can make early on to better that situation, and that way you can get there and realize those aspirations that you have. If this is something you'd like to walk through with our team of advisors here in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, or Cadillac offices, we'd love to sit down with you for a no cost, no obligations visit to map out this plan so you can plan to retire well and plan to retire early.